Attention please, this is the final call for Korean Air Flight 911.
Today's guest is Bruce Kim, founder and CEO of Surplus Global based in South Korea. Surplus Global is number one enterprise in second-hand semiconductor equipment market and has supplied more than 30,000 systems over 4,000 customers for the last 20 years. The electronic industry currently invests about $100 billion in equipment every year, while semiconductor capital investment is around $60 billion per year. The market size of second-hand equipment is estimated at $5 billion. Surplus Global also building semiconductor equipment cluster in Yongin, South Korea, near the factory of global number one and the number two DRAM manufacturer Samsung and Hynix, to solidify its position within this space as a global leader and provide a customer with a one-stop solution and platform for the semiconductor pre-owned equipment. Hi, Bruce. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, yes, thank you for your invitation for this great interview.
Yeah. Very long time no see.
Yeah.
When was it we met first time? From more than 12 years ago when I worked at the GE, General Electric. After that, we met somewhere, probably semicon exhibition where I don't know where is it in Taiwan or Korea. We met again, but still that was almost 10 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
I remember I met you at some party held by.
That one maybe 8-9 years ago, probably.
8-9 years ago.
Yeah. But this is a good way. Thanks to the COVID-19, people get used to having a virtual meeting conference like this. So this is thanks to the COVID-19. We came to catch up again on the virtual. I'll ask a couple of questions to introduce your business to the audience on my platform. So why don't you start off telling us a little bit about yourself and then your journey to the founding the Surplus Global. Yeah. Tell me some interesting backstory.
I started founding Surplus Global in year 2000. It's already 21 years ago.
Wow.
And at the time, e-commerce was very booming globally, and I also got some funding from venture capitals, $2.3 million at the time. At the time, we targeted B2B e-commerce for surplus equipment and any kind of surplus globally. And for after 2 years, we really failed our business. At the time, maybe more than 1,000 B2B e-commerce company globally in the world. I think most of them became bankrupted. Because that business model, it's not easy to make that business model. So we were in the same situation. After 2 years from founding, in year 2002, we spent most of our cash, and at the time, I remember $40,000 only we had at the time. And in the middle of 2002, we really considered to close Surplus Global. However, I felt very sorry to our investors. So I made a decision to rebuild our business again. And at the time, we decided to focus on electronic industry and semiconductor industry. Because the annual growth rate of semiconductor industry was very high at the time. Annually, overall electronic industry growth rate or annual growth rate was between 13 to 14%, and other industry annual growth rate has been 3 to 4% in Korea. So we think we could find some opportunity in growing industries such as semiconductor industry. So actually, we did not have any background or network or knowledge about semiconductor equipment. what we started.
That is a very interesting. It's a semiconductor is a very specialized industry. Without having a background, you jump right into the semiconductor. That's impressive. You must be a very brave person.
Yeah. When we started the semiconductor related business, I found that we need so many expertise in many fields. So many people have a very in-depth knowledge about some specific technology. There are so many vertical technologies in semiconductor industry. But on the other hand, we found that market needs some players some horizontal players who can combine those kind of things. So we wanted to be a horizontal players. We don't want to be a in-depth vertical players. So we try to integrate those verticals with our platforms at SurplusGLOBAL. And fortunately, at that time, the market in Korea and Asia, the semiconductor equipment market was in very early stage. So not so many players and not so many strong players in the market. G Capital and Sumitomo or Hitachi Capital, those big leading companies in US and Japan, they dominated this market. I found that the core competence of financial companies is how to avoid the risk. In my understanding.
Yes.
But usually secondary semiconductor equipment business is how to accept the risk, how to manage the risk, and this is very risk-taking business.
Understanding residual value, right? Residual value of the life cycle of the equipment. That's very hard for the ordinary banks. That's why the GE, Sumitomo, and some of the company in US, they accumulated their expertise in terms of understanding residual value of the life cycle, right?
Yeah. And also those leasing companies mainly focus on leasing and trading business. Secondary equipment trading business is their main target. Some minor business in their viewpoint. And we think we can specialize in trading secondary equipment. So we can provide more services, customized services, such as delivery, packing, or power demonstration, or reconfiguration of those tools, sometimes refurbishment. But our strong competitors, like G Capital, they cannot support those kind of technical services to customers.
Yeah, because they are the finance companies.
Yeah, they are finance companies.
Different animal, right?
Different. So as a trading secondary semiconductor equipment trading company, we can accumulate our network or knowledge or inventory or databases, very specific knowledge. Those kinds we can accumulate continuously. So last 20 years.
Bruce, before you continue to explain about the entire story about the operation, I think it might be useful, helpful for you to explain a little bit about how your business model works, because people usually don't have much knowledge about the semiconductor or value of a semiconductor equipment, and then how second-hand equipment can be useful for other, the user, right, from the original user, something like that. So I understand. I heard the word surplus from your business the first time, because ordinary people familiar with the second-hand, right? Second-hand. Surplus is a very fancy, nice words. So second-hand, or in the shipping other industry, they call it scrap, right? Scrap. Leftover product, nobody can use it, and then they scrap it, and they call it scrap. So people don't put much value, don't appreciate the value of a second-hand equipment to third party somewhere in other part of the world. I think your expertise, business model, and focus on that, right? I remember that a long time ago, I read news like the Korean Air Force, Ministry of Military, their defense. They are looking for to acquire the like what you call aircraft bomber, right? Aircraft bomber. But I can imagine probably new aircraft bomber may cost a couple of $100 million US. So they are looking for the second hand from US. I don't know where is it, but they call it the aircraft, military aircraft cemetery, right? Whether I don't know whether it is Texas or Arizona, I don't know where it is, but they found out this second-hand bomber from that cemetery, which is used during the World War II. So ordinary people cannot imagine, cannot imagine how can they use that old aircraft for the operation again. But I remember news that initially Korean government and then the US government discussed about the price around like $20 million US. But the US government figure out the Korean government is so desperate acquiring this asset because the new asset may be 5 times more expensive, right? Then this is usable. So I read the news that they quickly increase the price from the 20 million to the 60 million. I remember that story. So I thought it's maybe to ordinary audiences. That is a very interesting, good example, describe the nature of your business, right? Yeah. So can you explain a little bit? I mean, easy and simple term. How does your business model work? And then the supply chain works. Give me some practical example and how you make money.
Every year, semiconductor companies purchase equipment, usually 400 to 500. I'm so sorry. $50 billion.
Yes.
Every year. And these days, the market is very booming. So some people say the semiconductor equipment market in this year will be around $80 million.
$80 billion US.
$80 billion.
Right. Yes.
And the secondary equipment market size was around $3 billion.
Yes.
And I think this market also will grow to $5 to $6 billion in the very near future. So there are some correlations between brand new equipment market and secondary equipment market.
Yes.
And many people have a misunderstanding on semiconductor equipment. They think semiconductor is a very leading edge industry. So semiconductor fabs must use very brand new and new tool, latest version of tools. But however, the lifetime of the semiconductor equipment is around 30 years. It's a very long lifetime. So in these days, some equipment we are selling made in 1990s. Many of tools.
Yes.
Even sometimes those tool prices almost the same as brand new tools these days because of the
demands, right? Increasing demand, right?
Increasing demand and source of those tools are very limited these days. So the lifetime, but on the other hand, the IDMs, leading edge IDMs, Samsung or SK Hynix or Intel, those companies mainly use the leading edge tools only. They don't use legacy technology.
Right.
So, for example, those large IDMs usually use their equipment 15 years to 20 years, sometimes 10 years. And after that, they have to sell. And then after that, still, there are so many demands in the legacy areas. So, for example, if we purchase two equipment from Micro or Samsung or Hynix, then we usually sell those tools to foundry companies directly or indirectly to TSMC or UMC Global Foundries or SMIC or Dongguai, those companies.
So it depends on the market positioning of each player. So like Samsung, Intel, they are focusing leading edge, high tech, continue to move up the ladder vertical, but the company in China, Taiwan, or the semiconductor company, they are focusing on low-end technology. That's why that they have interest in buying the used equipment from, those Samsung or Hynix or Intel, right? That then you are in between. You play in the market and then serve the both sides in a different direction.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So this market is very unique. Our customer is not only foundry companies, but also equipment manufacturers such as ASML, Applied Materials, Lam Research.
Yeah, I financed the ASML scanner a lot actually. But I was shocked. I don't know how much it costs now, but it was because of the exchange rate. It cost like almost $50 million per unit, right? 50 million. How much is it now?
For UV scanners, the average price these days is $150 million.
Oh my God! So in terms of impression, it's more precious than any precious stone in the world, right?
So ASML, their capacity is limited. They can manufacture every year maybe less than 50 systems, but the demand is much larger.
Right.
So the chairman of the Samsung visited Holland recently, ASML, for securing more.
To secure the security equipment, right? So it's a very interesting thing, situation.
Yeah. So and then we also sell the ASML stepos scanners or Applied Materials, CVD, CMP, or Lam Research HS to those OEMs also.
Right.
And also on the other hand, there are some company named refurbishers, third-party refurbishers. They can refurbish the used tools for customers.
That is the question I'm going to ask now. So I heard that when I was active in the semiconductor financing, financing semiconductor equipment, I learned that because the Korean market in the early days of industrialization, we represented by the Sundori Appa, right? A lot of repairmen, right? Sundori Appa, repair guys who are, engaged in the repairing the broken electronics, etc., etc. So that because of that background, Korea has a lot of refurbishing engineer related to semiconductor. I heard that to over 200 company.
I think around 300 companies.
300 company now. But the other market in Taiwan, Japan, they don't have that number of the refurbishment.
Less than Korea.
Right.
And globally, I think the total numbers of refurbishers are around 1,000.
Wow. So Korea is 30, then like 300. So dominant player, right?
Yeah.
Dominant player. So that's that's the question I want to ask. I think you can take advantage that, Korean ecosystem, in that aspect, right? To differentiate yourself against the other competitor. I understand, I did some research because I need to prepare the interview question today. I need to refresh my memory. I found that the SurplusGLOBAL, in terms of refurbishment of second-hand equipment, you are the world largest company in the semiconductor refurbishment and the trading business, right? So can you tell us a little bit about that side?
Actually, we don't do refurbishment many times. Sometimes we support refurbishment, but we are more focusing on equipment trading as an equipment dealer. And when you say our sales, actually Korean market is not so large, only around 20%. And when I say our sales, China market is the largest one, 25% last year, and US market 20%, Japan market 7%, Taiwan market 15%, and Singapore is 3%, Singapore 5%, Europe 5%. It's a very diversified market we have now. So our customers are equipment manufacturers such as ASML or Applied Materials, and also third-party refurbishers. Sometimes dealers or sometimes other times the end users such as foundry companies. So we have for last 21 years, we have sold our equipment to around 4,000 companies. So
Wow.
I think almost every fab in the world, we already have a business relationship.
Right. Okay. I mean, let's talk about them more. So please tell us about how your company, Surplus Global, has grown so far since the establishment. How is it performing in terms of sales or market coverage, and et cetera, et cetera. I understand your company now listed now, right? And then because of that, the market environment is, I can imagine, very growing very fast. So please tell me your war story, how you grew the business.
Yeah. As you mentioned, Korea has a very good infrastructure for secondary semiconductor equipment business. So we leverage those infras, and also when we founded the Surplus Global, we designed our business model for global market. So currently we have a subsidiary in US, Japan, China, Taiwan, Singapore, and we are covering almost every semiconductor related companies globally. So when you have a good network or information or wide network, we can have more opportunities. It's kind of a size effect. So we intended to enlarge our size to enjoy that kind of size effects. So we continuously increase our inventory and global network. We participated in almost all semicon shows globally for last 20 years, and we try to have a good people in US or China or Taiwan, Japan and Singapore. And these days, after COVID-19, we are a little bit lucky because customers want to do business with more reliable companies because we can, so we see we are receiving more demands globally because of COVID-19 situation.
Right. I read use somewhere that the U.S. government are called Samsung and TSMC in order to secure the semiconductor for their automotive industry, right?
Yeah.
So that's sounds like a very interesting situation for those semiconductor company as well as for the global Surplus Global, right? Your company. Right. So tell me, I mean, in terms of trading volume or sales or the I mean market cap, whatever, you can brag about your performance of the company.
Secondary semiconductor equipment market size there are many segments, but when you only see trading market, we think this market size is around $500 to $700 million every year.
Yeah.
Our market share is around 20%. So
wow.
A little bit over 20%. So our sales is around $100 million to $150 million.
So that's a dollar amount of trading volume. You can buy and sell.
Our annual sales volume.
Say annual sales volume. Okay.
And for next 2 years, at least until next year, maybe our sales revenue, we expect our sales revenue will grow a lot for next 2 years because market is very booming these days.
Yes, I see everywhere. Whenever I read news, everybody talk about semiconductor now. So, what is the market cap of your company now?
$200 million.
Not a $1 billion? I mean, why people investors underestimate the potential of your company? I mean, given that this bullish market in the world about the semiconductor, right? Super bullish now. Then probably they don't understand enough about the nature of your business.
Yeah. So it's a little bit difficult to understand secondary.
Yes, very difficult. Actually, very difficult, right? They don't understand the nature of the business. How come because as I said, ordinary people is a second hand. That's a scrap, right? Scrap. They cannot imagine like a scrap is usually in Korean market all days, and uneducated people collect the unused equipment and sell it to somebody. So they people is it's not I mean valuable product. But your business, I mean, finding out the right buyer, right user at the right timing and right geographic market, it can be from the, it can be, you can turn from the scrap to the gold, right? That's basically nature of your business, right? Yeah, something like that. It's a some to somebody is a scrap. To other people, it can be gold because they need that equipment at a much lower price, right?
The most expensive tool we have sold so far is $20 million.
Okay.
And sometimes we sell $300 microscope, but that's our main business. Average price of secondary equipment is around $300,000 to $400,000.
Okay. Yeah. Also, I learned that you built what you call cluster. Cluster. I mean, I understand on high level, it's something like a big storage warehousing that you share with other people.
Not only a warehouse, but also clean room and refurbishment bay and offices.
Yeah.
So the building size will be around 70,000 square meters.
Okay.
And many of the global companies will join this, will participate in this cluster.
Okay. So are they moving in that cluster?
Yeah.
Wow. So you are turning the business model from the operation to the ecosystem manager, right?
Yeah.
That's a very interesting and a very, I mean, creative move, I guess. And a very long-term, I mean, focused, right?
Yeah.
Very good.
So we maybe there will be 20 to 30 companies. They will come to our cluster, and annually we have foreign visitors, over 500 foreign visitors at the cluster. We expect more than 1,000 foreign customers visit annually. And much more Korean visitors. So we want to build some kind of equipment hub in Korea, close to Samsung and Hynix. And we want to make some open innovation together with many companies. So these days we receive many inquiries of potential tenants, and I think this project, in terms of the participants, will be successful. I expect.
Yeah. I very impressive because in previous or so far your business is engaged in the focused on the providing your product and services to your customer. But now you're taking that business model into the platform business model, right? So something like Amazon.com for the second-hand equipment. So that's a huge development and evolution. You have a very good potential.
Our strength is that we can source some semiconductor equipment at very reasonable prices, much lower price than brand new prices. So. And we have a global customer base, so we want to build R&D foundry at the cluster. So we designed our total clean size will be around 10,000 square meters. It's very huge size, 10,000 square meter clean room, and we want to provide some simple room wafer services and simple room device characterizations, and which is useful to equipment companies and material companies in semiconductor industry. So our next business is R&D foundry business. You know TSMC foundry business.
Yes.
But we are currently trying to start R&D foundry business for material companies and equipment.
What is R&D foundry? I understand foundry business like TSMC. What do you mean by R&D foundry? Is it R&D or the foundry manufacturing?
It's we do some R&D for other companies.
Okay, so basically R&D, research and R&D. So basically R&D and designing company and foundry. So it's three pillars. So you'll move into the R&D area. I see.
R&D foundry. So we already hired world level electrical characterization specialist inside. And we'll provide those electrical characterization service, device characterization services to global customers at the cluster. And but we will invest multi-billion dollars for the cluster for CVD, PVD, and ALD and metrology tools there.
Yes. Sounds very interesting. Yeah. A lot is like I can feel that the universe on your side now. Universe on your side. So I have seen that you are very active. I mean, other philanthropical activity, or a lot of you're curious of doing a lot of things other beside your main business, right? I saw that you are the president of what is that? The Smile Together Foundation.
Yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing at the Smile Together Foundation?
When I was a student, long time ago in 1980s, I strongly protested Korean military government.
Wow. Yes, you are militant student protester in the past. So you should help the Myanmar then.
I strongly support the Myanmar people.
Okay.
So then that time I'm afraid. I was really afraid. I could go to the jail. So I was a little bit passive. Actually, I was the president of my major department, and at the time I felt I was very risky. I could go to the jail. So I'm a little bit how can I say scared about the situation. So but I cannot go. I couldn't go more strongly protest to Korean government. So at that time I decided this time I will not fully devote myself. I could not fully devote myself to that protest. But in the future I will do something for this society or something for these ecosystems. And until 2010 we did not have some cash. But after financial crisis, we recovered very quickly, and we had some money at the time. Then I considered which kind of social contribution we should do. And at the time I found that actually my elder son has Asperger, so he has some autism. And I learned so many things about autism, and many of autism families are in very big troubles mentally and physically. So I really understand the situation. So in year 2012, I decided to establish a Smile Together Foundation to support autism family, to educate or to console them. So it's already 9 years, and we more focus on some software things or some program things, such as some event or content. So we also have YouTube content.
Yes.
Our total visitors is around 4 million so far.
Yes. Wow. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. 2 years ago, we held a very big autism expo. It's the first autism exhibition in Asia. In UK, there is one.
Okay.
In Asia, so far there is no autism exhibition. But 2 years we held that autism expo, and at first we expected 4,000 visitors. Finally, it was very successful. So there was more than 20,000 visitors there. So it was very, how can I say,
rewarding, very successful, rewarding.
Yeah.
I think it's even though the one person has been successful in the business and make a lot of money, it's not a fun continue to make money just right. So you need to keep the balance, looking at the other side of life and getting mixed with disadvantaged people. Yeah, I respect you. I admired what you're doing. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Okay, so we have a last question. So what can you expect from you and the Surplus Global this year? And what is your long-term vision for the Surplus Global?
Maybe until next year, the semiconductor market will be very great. Nobody knows what will happen 2 years later.
Right.
We wanna do some meaningful business. When I started this company, at the time I just wanted a big company or big cash or some large size, those kind of things. But these days, I think something meaningful is more important. So we wanna contribute more for semiconductor ecosystem or autism people. So I think these days many people talk about the social responsibility, ESR.
Yes,
And we want to build something very meaningful to semiconductor ecosystem, and our R&D foundry business will be very helpful for many semiconductor related material companies and equipment companies. It will contribute a lot. And also we calculated how much CO2 we reduced by trading secondary semiconductor equipment, and 200,000 of foundry, 20 years old foundry CO2 consumption reduced so far. So this business is very meaningful, and so far we have focused on trading secondary semiconductor equipment business, and our next target is R&D foundry business with the secondary. So we can provide more technical solutions to semiconductor ecosystems.
Okay, so your cluster platform will be a more comprehensive platform to include so many things, helping the player in the market in many different ways. Sounds like a great plan.
Currently, our building size is 70,000 square meters, and before my retirement, I will build 200,000 square meter building.
So are you planning to retire? You don't plan to work forever?
Someday, maybe, hopefully before 2030, I will retire.
Okay.
And I really have some pride in our business because this secondary semiconductor trading business is very meaningful and big contribution to mankind.
Yes. I was impressed. I mean, when I was engaged in this semiconductor and financing semiconductor, second-hand semiconductor equipment, I thought this is a very sexy concept, right? You can add a lot of value. Like even it could be very interesting project for the investment banking, working together, a partner like you, and then working together to find capital market financing guy. Also, bridge the a gap between the leading edge player like a Samsung, Intel, and there is another player, but who may acquire the equipment in 2 years from now. Then we can create so many interesting ideas. Then everybody get the benefit. So a win-win-win situation, right? So it's a very sexy business model. I think.
you.
Thank you. Okay, this is the end of the question. So thank you so much and taking time. And it was really, really great to catch up with you again. So,
Yeah.
but I'm looking forward to having a chance to meet in person again after COVID situation get better, right? We need to grab a wine or a beer or something.
Let's have a beer together in Korea or in Hong Kong in
Yeah.
end of this year or next year.
Okay. Thank you
Okay.
so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Kim.
Thank you very much for listening to this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, share with a friend, and drop me a review. Goodbye.